And we are live. We have Luke on this live stream, the man who discovered that you can just peel off the matte finish on the Samsung QD OLEDs. So if you have any questions, if you want to do it, you're any concerns, we have him to share his thoughts. He has a lot of experience doing things like this in the past, and yeah, we have a lot to talk about. So if you want to look, you can introduce yourself. Also, let me know if you can hear him well and if you can hear me well, so we can adjust the settings. So yeah, introduce yourself,
Yes.
Luke.
Thanks, Ariel. Yeah, this is Luke. I'm the one that was crazy enough to attempt to take off this anti-glare. Usually, I actually went and got paper towel and distilled water because I had assumed probably going to be like every other anti-glare that manufacturers put on and monitor manufacturers, where you've got to put damp paper towels on the screen and let it sit on there for 5, 6 hours, and then you peel it right on off. There was a lot of IPS displays probably in the last 10,
Where
15 years. They had really bad put on and monitor
oh wait, wait, wait.
grainy anti-glares on there.
Sorry, I
Put
have
damp
your
paper
video
towels on the
started running
screen
in the
and
background.
let it sit on there for five, six
Let's see why is
hours, and
this
then
happening.
you peel it right on off. There was a lot of IPS displays probably in the last 10, 15 years. They had really bad put
Oh, I
on and
know what happened. Wait,
monitor
wait, wait.
Oh, you
Okay.
mean a
grainy
YouTube video?
anti-glares on.
Yeah, because the thing is, I had the stream. It has a delay, so I had the stream running with audio. So I just finished the audio there, so we don't get that double audio. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry, we fix it. Yeah, go ahead. Can you hear me well? Oh, I think I mute myself. Yeah. So can you hear me well now, Luke?
I can, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The thing is, yeah, I mute myself, and I had the stream running in the background. So go ahead.
Yes,
Keep
I
doing
was
it.
just, it, I was expecting to have to use the paper towel method to get this off, which it's still, in all honesty, you probably could do it that way. And basically, the way it works is that you take paper towels and distilled water, you lay the TV flat, down on the ground or on a table, and you put about 3 layers worth of damp paper towels over the TV, and you let it sit for 5, 6 hours, and then you just peel it right off. And it much easier. It literally will come up like a wet paper towel off the TV itself. The problem with this is one, you're spending 5, 6 hours making sure the towels continue to stay damp, depending in your house, how dry it is and so forth. Those paper towels dry up, then you lose that ability to pull up the anti-glare really easily. And the reason why you do this is that the anti-glare that they use on this television and a lot of monitor Samsung and LG have used are water-based, meaning they pretty much applied this anti-glare on damp, like a tint on a car window. So when you're watching me take it off and it looks like tint from a car, it's because it the same kind of thought process behind it. So in the past, when I would remove these off monitors, I would use the paper towel and let it sit for 5, 6 hours, and it literally will come off like butter, like literally like a wet paper towel right off the TV, the whole anti glare. You could
So
do that.
yeah, so let me ask you: is that for LCD monitors, or have you tried that on WRGB OLED monitors from LG?
It works for IPS monitors doing it, and you can do that on the LG W OLED monitors. I've done it on a 1440p, 240 hertz OLED, and it took it. You had to have it sit for about 8 hours on that. The problem with the OLEDs, the white OLEDs, is that they've got a polarizer on there, and when you're pulling it off, their danger is that pull the polarizer up with it, and I would not. So anybody hearing me telling you this, it's for somebody who's very experienced doing that, and you have to really know how to do that. Anybody that's frequent the hard forum and call sign Vega's on there, he does a lot of removal of anti-glares as well on monitors over the years, and it's one of those things where the IPS monitors, a lot of them actually do have still a plastic overlay over the polarizer, put an anti-glare on there. So a lot of IPS monitors to remove the anti-glare. What's really great about the QDOLEDs is they do not have a polarizer.
So let me ask
So
you, what
right
happens?
below, yeah,
What happens if you remove the polarizer? You completely broke the display.
if you're doing that on an LCD or a WOLED, the polarizer could get pulled up while you're pulling up the anti-glare because the adhesive between the polarizer and the anti-glare. So yeah, you would ruin the display.
Okay. So
So there's
then,
a high risk involved
but
with
ruining
those.
it in a way where like it doesn't work anymore, or you just don't have that
Um,
polarizer effect. Like, does it still look good, or would it look bad?
well, if you ever seen a plasma, if you remove the anti-glare on that, it's very light looking, and so it would impact the black significantly. It wouldn't look right. In other words, you'd throw it out. You wouldn't use the monitor
Wow.
if you
Wow.
polarize.
So then the great thing about this with QD OLEDs is that it doesn't have that polarizer, so it's just peeling off that and that's it. So what would you
Yeah.
say for people who are afraid of doing it? What are the precautions? By the way, I'm gonna show. I got pictures from a QD OLED monitor. Someone just
Hmm.
did it on his QD OLED monitors. I'm gonna show you all the pictures. Um,
Yeah. Was it a
his
G80?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna
Yep.
show that.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. So what would you say the precautions? Like, what are the challenges? I saw you wearing a mask, and Formo was saying that it was nasty. The smell of that thing is probably toxic. So talk about what are the downsides that you see. Like,
Oh,
you just did it.
I would highly recommend. So here's the deal: if you're doing it dry and you're doing what I did, it's going to take a lot longer, quite frankly, to pull it off than if you were to do the paper towel method and let it sit for 5 6 hours, and then it literally 30 seconds for you to just gently pull it all the way off and it just comes off.
So wait,
Honestly, I
wait. So you're
almost feel
saying
like
So you're saying that the most likely, the easiest way would be the paper towel method and not do what you did.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Without a
Oh,
doubt. It's just
really?
that, I started peeling it off and I'm like, this is coming up pretty easily, right? So for about maybe 10% of it there in each corner, it'll come off pretty easily. It'll come up pretty good. But then you even saw it with FOMO, then it starts to get more tricky. Um, in retrospect, I probably should just go and do it with a paper towel and do a video and show you all how to do it. I mean, I was going to get a G80 anyway for my work
That's great. So I'm gonna show right
test
now
setup.
that
So
monitor. So you see
yeah,
the how it got. That's great. So that would be great, man. If you can do the tutorial the best way that you know, because you have experience doing this, that would
yeah.
be amazing. That would be great.
But I just wonder, like, do people find that easier to take the paper towel with distilled water? You like you so you do is you basically you get like a bowl, you fill it up with distilled water, you take your paper towels, you crumple it up, put it in the bowl, get it all soaked up, and then you pull it out and wring it out, right? Because you don't want it like super soaking wet. You wring out the paper towels and then you lay it all over the panels and you do about 3 years of it. And then as long as your house is super dry, have to come back once or twice within 5 hours or so, and just put a little bit more distilled water on top of it, and then it literally the anti-glare will literally come up like a wet paper towel off the screen, like
But I
perfectly, just
that
super
that
easy.
sounds very good, but I guess my concern with that is uh, the corner of the TV has a space between the
Hmm.
vessel and the panel itself, and my
Yep.
concern is that water is gonna go in and then cause a problem, get deep inside and then be worse.
Yeah, that's is a good question. So the way you'd want to do it is that uh, where the corners of the TV are at, because it's easy to take the corners up on the TV. You leave about a half an inch of the paper towel, meaning you don't go all the way to the edge of the TV or over it. Do you know what I mean? So you're going
Mm-hmm.
like to about a quarter of an inch to the end of the anti glare, so no water would go into it. Also, keep in mind it's distilled water. So as long as you take it up and then you let the TV sit for maybe another hour, there won't be any problems. The water wouldn't do anything to it.
So then we go back into that the way in the issues. But let's check this out, man. This is the G80. Um, Look at this before and after. This is a good shot right here. See, this is how he peeled it
So
off
where
from top to
is?
bottom. Can you see that?
Let me
Let me make
yeah, I'm
myself
bringing up
smaller again.
YouTube on. Yeah, I don't see the video on
Oh,
here, but I can
of
pull
course,
it up
because
on.
I'm sharing the other screen with you, so you can see the chat. I would have to
Yeah,
change the.
I'm bringing up YouTube right now.
Yeah, this is, bro, the difference. Let's talk about that. We'll go back to the negative part and all that stuff. But tell me
Yeah, yeah.
if you see
He's
any
doing it dry
downsides.
too.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing it dry too, Ariel. What you're
Yeah.
showing there, right there.
Mm-hmm.
He did it dry like what I did. I'll go grab a G80. I'll do it with a wet paper towel trick. I guarantee you, this is gonna come off like butter.
Wow.
Because I can already tell it's water based the way it is. The reason why is if it wasn't water based, you wouldn't be able to get it removed. It just wouldn't be possible. And that's the kicker of it all. If Samsung sees all this and they're like, you know what? When the G series comes out next year, we're not going to use a water based glare. We'll use something that's not water based, and you won't be able to pull this off. Period. So there
Wow.
is that risk with doing this. And I will be honest with you all. When I did this, I did debate even sharing with Brian or anybody like that about this because two things. First of all, I knew other people were going to go and try it, and it's like as you can see here, depending on how big the panel is, how how you're doing it. You've never done it before. You could end up making it so instead of it taking 45 minutes or 30 minutes to do, you're like FOMO and you're sitting there spending hours doing it. You know. And then there's one guy in the AVS forum. I've been trying to help him with it, but he's like, he's got a lot of it not off yet. And I guess apparently according to him, he doesn't have fingernails. I'm not saying I got ladies' fingernails here, okay? Like my nails are cut. It's like it doesn't take much to peel it up in the corner. It's just that you gotta go slow. And this person here is doing, I can tell you right now, that looks like they're going from top to bottom, which is
Yeah.
not the right way to do it. You need to go from either the top right to bottom left or the top left to the bottom right. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Diagonally.
Yeah.
You got to do it that way. Um, the easiest way is the paper, but that obviously you have to sit there for 5 hours, let it sit there first, and then depending on your
Wait. Can you
situation, if you got
repeat?
to really
Wait. Can you repeat that again because your voice cut? Can you repeat that idea again?
the paper towel would be the easiest method to do.
Okay.
That's more effort. You got to lay it down flat. You got to sit there and put all those paper towels on there, and you got to like make sure it stays damp for like 5 hours before you come back and you pull it off.
So the thing is, to your comment of, you were debating if you should share this or not. I don't think Samsung would care at all. I
Well,
mean,
I thought to myself, Ariel, like in the future, like 2, 3 years down the road, if they ever came out with a 4K 240 hertz panel, I'd probably like upgrade. You know what I mean? And it's like it's so incredible looking in person, and the photos that I did and the videos I did purposely were in a bright situation to really overemphasize the reflection. It is not a silvery mirror finish to the panel. It looks like an iPhone. It's just that, I had my ISO up on the video and on the photos to really overemphasize the reflection. Like that photo you're showing right now, you can
so
see the windows in there, right? In the reflection.
yeah, yeah, and
If
look, and
you had
look at the
if you had
computer.
it
The
or
computer
a
is
Samsung,
perfectly visible
like an
here.
S23 and put it next to it, it looked very similar to that. I think the S23 may have an anti-glare on it, but I can
No,
tell
it
you that
doesn't.
the
It's a Gorilla Glass.
oh,
It
okay.
has some. It has probably some anti-reflective treatment, but it is a glass. It's just perfect.
Yeah,
So if you're
the
saying
iPhone, yeah, the iPhones really don't. So like they're literally like, depending on the situation, it completely reflects perfectly. And when I was taking this off, I was concerned of because a lot of times when on monitors, plastic on IPS to cover the polarizer between the anti-glare. So think of it this way: you got your polarizer, you have a plastic layer on this IPS monitor, and then they put this matte, filter over it, over the plastic. Well, when you pull off the anti-glare on it, yeah, you have a bare screen, but you really don't because you have this cheap plastic and it's got like this if anybody's familiar with what orange peel looks like on paint, this plastic looks cheap. It looks crappy, right? Well, Gorilla Glass doesn't look cheap or plasticky. It's got a perfect reflection to
it's
it.
the
You
best.
know,
It's the best we have, right?
it's perfect. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
perfect.
And
So
so
let's
now I got a
make
perfect reflection in these TVs, like an iPhone or an iMac display. It's like
That's just.
perfect
I mean,
reflection.
you're getting me excited about this, man. I have the S23 Ultra. Ultra. I also have the iPhone 15 Plus. They look
Yeah.
perfect. It's just absolutely
Yep.
perfect. So let's make this very clear then.
Ginormous iPhone.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your.
Yeah, it looks like a ginormous iPhone, reflection wise and
The,
color
the,
wise.
that sounds perfect to me. So let's make this very clear because people might think, oh, you haven't tested, so you cannot talk about it. This is what I believe, but we got your confirmation. Let's make this very clear then. It's amazing. It looks way better. There's no discussion about that. So, do you see any downsides? I was thinking maybe a downside of doing this would be that you might have more. When you have something bright on screen, QD OLED, the screen lights up. The problem with QD OLED raised blacks, which is this comment we have here, is that they have this scatter plate for the blue to pass through, and because there's that hole, the light from the ambient goes in and raises the black. So the screen lights up due to the ambient light. But at the same time, nearby pixels might glow a little bit when you have something very bright. So what I see comparing this MSI QD OLED that I have with the
Mm.
S90D is that the S90D has a little bit of anti-reflective surface treatment. It is not as
Mm.
glossy as the monitor, and as a consequence, I think I see more of that glow on the monitor than on the TV. Yet, I still prefer the monitor being glossier than the TV. So, do you see now with this change, do you see a problem? Tell me if you see any downsides when it comes to the picture quality, any considerations.
Yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And one of the reasons that made me want to take this glare off, because I used it for about a day and a half before I took it off. And I noticed that at nighttime, the when you have a black screen and you have maybe white text on there, large text and so forth, I
Hmm.
was seeing blooming text.
Oh, really?
Like it was bleeding into the black. And when I took the anti-glare off, you don't get that anymore. And what I'm surmising is this is that the anti-glare is still, if you look at it and you can see it even there on that screen there, there's light being blocked from it coming out as well.
No,
Okay, so
absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
blocking a reflection hitting the panel and coming back to you, but at the same time under it, it's blocking light coming out as well.
So you
And
feel that is brighter
it
now.
oh, significantly brighter. Significantly brighter. The whites are pure, the colors are pure. Like when Classy comes to calibrate it, I'm pretty confident that it's going to just stock, just plain on. It's going to be able to be calibrated better than one that has an anti-glare on it. The anti-glare that's on it has a magenta tint to it. With it off, this panel looks pure black.
Man,
So there's a
man.
big difference between the two.
And
And then
and
don't
let,
even get me started on clarity. The clarity, like I know people say, "Oh, this doesn't have any grain to it or anything
just
like
look at
that."
this.
It
Just look at
absolutely
this
does.
example. Look at the PC reflecting over the monitor perfectly like a gloss.
Well,
Look at
right.
the mat. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. So let me tell you something. I heard that a Samsung engineer, which was or representative from Samsung, who is someone who knows a lot about HDR, is a very qualified person, said that this anti-glare was improving the shadow detail, and I'm like, no, that's impossible. How can they say that? I believe when you remove this, you should see a little bit better near black. It should be a little bit more visible. Would you agree with that, or is that very difficult to determine?
I think that when you're looking at, I had it half on and half off, right? Depending on the viewing conditions, meaning like how bright your room is and stuff like that, the matte can help you see more of the screen because there's no reflection on it in the daytime. If you have like bright walls and bright lights, like my video that I did purposely showing all of that, it's harder to see because you've got the reflections your eyes are fighting against, right? That helps with that part of it if you're in that kind of condition. I have to tell you all that having a completely glossy screen, whatever kind of TV it is, if it's your main television and you got all this windows and stuff like that, probably not the best thing to have a pure thing. This is more of a, for a lot of us, whether it had a matte screen or glossy screen, for me, I wasn't going to be using it in a bright environment because it looks like trash
It
in a
looks
bright
like trash.
environment.
And the other thing is, look, and I'm sure you agree with this. It doesn't make any sense to have a premium display, the best, thinking about, oh, let's try to make it look just okay under suboptimal conditions. That doesn't make any sense. You build the best of the best to
Yeah.
perform at their best in the ideal conditions.
Well,
I
think of it
know
this
there's.
way.
Okay, go ahead.
Think so. Asus had was it the 42 or 48-inch OLED monitors, right? The ROG ones,
Mm-hmm.
and they put an anti-glare on it, a matte film. I mean, how many people are going to go get that versus like a C3 or C4? It's the difference is dramatic between the two of them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know why Samsung put. I think it's kind of going towards like like my parents in their 70s. They're like, oh, I don't want a reflection on my TV. That's more their speed. They don't want a reflection. So I think there is a group of people that would really enjoy it, and I think there's a group of people that wouldn't. Clearly, Samsung must have talked to people, unlike you and I and other people that were like, yeah, I'm not feeling that.
But look, I would argue that if someone thinks that is better, it's because they don't know better. Like I would argue that anyone and everyone would agree if they know where to look at. Like if they are, let's say, not indoctrinated, but if they are, let's say, not misled, everyone would
Hmm.
agree that this is just superior. It's a fact. Like, I can understand a salesperson could easily sell this to someone who just walks into the store. Oh, look, you're gonna see no reflections. I mean, it's just a no-brainer. Just buy the TV right now. That's an easy selling point. I get it, but that's just not the truth. And my family, for example, doesn't know anything about TVs or technology. Nothing. I taught my family to tell the difference between 240 FPS and 360, and they can tell the difference like this, like obviously, and they know nothing about it. It's easy. You just need to tell them, hey, you just need to look for this, and that's how you tell. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see that difference. And some people say, oh, you cannot see better than 60 FPS or something like that. And I'm like, no, you just need to know what to look for.
Right.
It's just a matter of, let's say, education or something.
Yep. No, I agree 100% with you. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm showing more pictures here. So then let's put to rest then the argument that you're gonna get. Of course, nothing is perfect. There's always gonna be a drawback. Like, something might not be, as Matt might be able to do something specifically, in a specific case better. Of course, there's always gonna be something like that. But overall, there's no discussion that this is gonna give you a better display. It's gonna have more clarity. It might be even brighter. You might see better details. It might look more colorful, more vibrant. I mean, everything's just gonna be much better. And just look at your phone. I mean, Luke is saying this is gonna look like your iPhone. If you have an iPhone or one of these Samsung phones that don't have the matte, unfortunately, they're doing that on the phones too. It's gonna look like your phone. I mean, my phone just looks perfect. I mean, if you're telling me this looks like a gigantic phone,
Identical.
I'm all in.
Identical.
It's just perfection in my opinion.
Yeah.
Even under the sun.
Yep. Same exact perfect reflection. It literally looks identical to an iPhone.
I mean, so we can put to rest. This is just the way to go. Now, the thing is, I get it. Not everyone is going to spend $3,000 and go home and do this. I get it. But, and I'm not going to say, hey, if you don't do this, you're missing out. But that's the truth, okay? But I'm not going to tell everyone what they should do. You do whatever you want. It's your TV, it's your money. But the thing is how difficult is it? Like, let's go back to the challenges, your recommendations with the paper towel, things you've seen people doing wrong, like you were saying in the AVS forum, someone got stuck. What's the problem? The TV gets cold? Because I guess if you start doing it, then it gets cold, then it might get harder. Like, what's the...
Yeah. Well, I think it's your photo you're showing right now is a great indication that they're doing it wrong. They're doing it from left to right. You can even tell how they're doing it right there. It's just wrong way to do it.
Yeah, it seems like they're going like top to bottom, left to right.
Yeah, you got to go from top right to bottom left or top left to bottom right. You got to do it diagonally.
But let me ask you, if you try it wrong like this, he was able to do it still.
You'll get it off. You'll get it off eventually, but he's going to be sitting there for a long time.
Okay.
He's going to be sitting there a long time doing it that way. He's going to be doing a little piece at a time. It's,
So this was before, obviously. This was before he did anything. That you can see a difference just staggering here. It's a good shot too. Yeah. So it seems like he started from here, but then he tried.
And a lot of people do these photos for those saying, "Oh my gosh, that looks like a mirror and stuff." The amount of the ISO I had to increase and how much light I had to bring in to even give you the idea that there's a reflection, because it's just so dark and it's not a silvery mirror is basically what I'm talking. Look at the matte there. You see the magenta tint on the bottom.
Yeah. Look at that's what I was gonna say. Look at this. Look at the color of this.
But see, look at what he's doing. So he's going. You can see that he started in the top right.
Yeah.
Started to do diagonally, but how it's starting to kind of go straight. And then when you just start, so he probably just ripped it off. Probably took that piece and took it from the right and pulled it all the way to the left, straight across.
Yeah.
And then it's just gonna take a lot of time to do that if you do it that way.
So then what happens, for example, if you start peeling it off from the top right corner and then it
Hmm.
breaks and then you just go, okay, let me just go rack and then finish here. How can you get started here? Is that difficult to get started
Yeah,
from?
just you would just you see where your little hands at there on the screen there. If you go to the
Uh-huh.
right a little bit,
Uh-huh.
you take your icon and go to the right a little bit. You see right there where the down.
Okay, let me see. What are you talking about? Right
Yep.
here?
So like you see where the anti-glare is still on. Yep. So right
Uh-huh.
there, you just would take your fingernail there in the corner and act like that's the corner of the TV, and you would start again and do the diagonal from there, just like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yep.
So then, when it comes to cleaning the TV,
Hmm.
the other question that I have, and by the way, we're gonna read the comments. We're gonna try to answer your questions in the chat here too. But the other question that I have, how about the glossy TVs? I mean,
Hmm.
I would not recommend to do that. It's not that bad. The glossy you still have some anti-glare, but do you think that surface can also be peeled off, or maybe it is not a layer like this?
Yeah, well, so the problem with the glossy QDOLEDs that they're using, Samsung, I don't know if any of you have them or not, but if you get fingerprints on them, if you try to clean it, it starts to make marks on it.
Yeah.
And then actually, if you go on to Reddit right now and you go to the OLED gaming threads there, you'll see some people have already ruined their QD OLEDs
Yeah.
because they went and tried to clean it, the glossy ones, and now they got permanent marks. As far as removing it, you're not going to be able to remove it like this. And what I mean
Mm-hmm.
by that is like just peeling it off like this in itself isn't going to work. You'd have to do the paper towel method to get that off.
But if you manage to take that off, it will be the
Hmm.
same. This is the
It'd
same
be the
thing.
same. It'd
But
be the
let me
exact
ask
same.
you then, what's the difference? Is it thinner or is it a different material? Why is
It's
it more
it's it's
difficult?
a it's a thinner material, and definitely think of more like a card tint. That's much more what those glossy ones are as far as, how they feel and how they would come off.
Sorry, it's more of a card 10? I don't
I would
understand what.
yes, the glossy ones, those AR filters they put on there, it's
Uh-huh.
much more similar to like a card tint.
Ah, card tint. Oh, okay, okay. So it's a super thin.
Yeah,
Okay.
super thin.
So then I think. Do you think it makes sense for those people who already messed up their glossy QD OLED TV? Do you think it would
Hmm.
make sense to try to do the paper towel method and just take it off because it just looks nasty already?
Well, yes, because I mean, now you got something on your screen that is definitely affecting your viewing on it, right? And also, you've got to keep in mind that when you remove this, you can take water, you can put fingerprints on this screen. It's like your phone. It just wipes right on off. And it's the actual strength of the screen under it is it's very similar to Gorilla Glass. It's very strong.
So that is so incredible because now we're talking about fixing one of the biggest problems that we thought QD OLED had, which was how can we clean this thing? It's so difficult,
Hmm.
so fragile. Now, if we actually get to this part, then that problem is gone, right? You can just clean it. Of course, you have to be careful, but you don't have to be that concerned about cleaning it anymore. Do you think this is fragile or we can is this like, for example, if you compare this with the LG screens, for example,
Hmm.
C1, do you think this
Hmm.
is similar, harder, softer when it comes to
Oh,
being
it's hard.
fragile?
It's way harder. So here's the thing: the problem with the LGs is that you've got a anti glare over a polarizer. So a
Mm-hmm.
polarizer is completely different than what you're seeing on that monitor or on these TVs where you remove the anti glare. It's like Gorilla Glass. That's not a polarizer. There's a big difference. A polarizer, first of all, the polarizer isn't going to give you that kind of reflection like a phone, where it's like perfect and strong. This is perfect and strong in material. It's not a polarizer. So that's
That
the
is
huge difference. So, like, if any of you have any questions, walk into a Best Buy and go look at a C4 okay? Or look at a G4 or G5 with those floodlights in the Best Buy. You know what I'm talking about, those bright
Yeah.
lights hitting down. And you tell me, look at the reflections on those OLEDs, those the white OLEDs, and you tell me, does that reflection look like your phone?
No, it doesn't. It has a color to it.
It not only has a color to it, but it's like a car tint. It's got a texture to it. It's not a perfect reflection like your phone or like Gorilla Glass.
So,
It's got like this. It looks plasticky and cheap in comparison to what you're looking at on your phone. Okay, so like that monitor you're showing right there, if you look at that reflection there, it probably doesn't really convey it that well in that photo, but it literally is a perfect reflection. There's no film on there. There's no nothing.
it's perfect. So this is what has me the most excited about doing this. We're talking about a level of clarity that we've never seen before on a TV.
Yes, that's
Like,
right.
is there any TV in the world that we
It
have this
looks like. Do
kind
you
of
think your
purity?
phone's clear, Ariel? Like when you look at it, don't you think your phone's like
Yeah,
super clear?
perfect. Yeah,
Well, so the problem is that with any of these anti-glares they put on there, there's an adhesive between the anti-glare and the polarizer or the plastic.
exactly,
And so
exactly.
when we're playing games and you're looking left to right, especially in bright areas, there is a form of DSE that's still there, like dirty screen effect, because of the anti-glare. When Classy comes, he'll see it for himself. It literally looks liquid and like you're looking through a window or a huge iPhone.
Man,
There's nothing. I've never seen clarity on a television like this ever. It's impossible to convey in photos or video. It's just impossible.
unbelievable, man. That's just clarity that we've never seen before. Is that
No,
simple?
we've never had a television that's been bare like this, except for CRTs probably, because CRTs, a lot of them didn't have anti-glares on there. And the few that they did, I've taken them off. I've taken off anti-glare and the 34 XBR 910, the 24 FW 900 CRT widescreen monitor, which some people claim to be a holy grail of CRT monitors. But they all had anti-glares on there, and then you take them off, the picture quality is a lot better with them off.
Yeah, I've seen those mods too. Okay, I'm gonna read the chat. I think we have answered some of the questions already. For example, if you compare this with the S90D, I think we're answering the question. The S90D
Yeah.
has some anti-glare treatment.
Yep.
Actually, I was able to see the difference between that and my monitor also has an anti-glare treatment.
Hmm.
So it's not even like it's not even the lightest anti-glare treatment you can do. It has some anti-glare. So, but the thing is,
Yep.
it's not bad, man. I would not do it on the S90D because it's not bad. Now, if I messed up the TV cleaning it, like if I cause a scratch or fingerprints, or maybe I moved to a different place and then I messed it up, I would definitely do it. So I
Yeah.
think
Or
that's
if you,
I think
yeah.
that's a safe recommendation. You just use your
Yep.
TV. One day you don't like that you messed it up with your fingerprints or something, then you know there's a way. You can just
Yep.
peel it off and be happy about it. Now it's more difficult. You have to use the paper towel method. So I think it would be great, Luke, if you can show that paper towel method.
Yeah, I can do it to the G80. I gotta tell you right now, I was looking at this photo you have up there. The anti-glare in the G80 is quite a bit thicker than what's on the television. Like that's or some really
Super,
gross
yeah.
anti-glare on
It
that
looks
one.
gross, man. It really looks.
Yeah,
Look at this and the yellow. So I'm
yeah,
sorry. I was listening to the FOMO stream today, and Digital Trends
yeah,
don't like the idea of doing this. And he was saying something like the TV might turn in yellow. Of course, he's saying we don't know if there's a side effect, and I agree with him. Maybe there's something that will happen in the future. Maybe there's like a chemical or something. I don't believe so, but that's
no,
fair. That's fair to speculate. Maybe there's something that we're doing that we don't think, you know, that we don't know yet, or something bad that is negative that we don't know yet. But look at this thing. We're talking about yellow. Look at this anti-glare color.
well, I mean, it will I'll play the other side on that one. Okay, so I mean, I respect Caleb. He knows a lot. He's been around for a long time. You know, does your iPhone or does your iMac does it turn yellow?
Then
You
there's
know,
a wrap.
this isn't a Super Nintendo that had coated with a special chemical to make it so it's like flame retardant, and that's why they were turning yellow, I guess, is what part of that problem is in the plastics back in the day. The thing is that when you remove the anti-glare on this, one thing that I noticed outside of everything else is it runs a lot cooler when you touch it now.
That's what I was gonna say. So some people are saying, well, we don't know about the longevity consequences. Look, you are removing this peel. What do you think? Do you think the temperatures will get better or worse?
Oh yeah, you
I
can
mean,
definitely feel it. You can feel it.
oh, it obviously is gonna run cooler. So when the TV is
Yeah.
cooler, it's gonna stay brighter longer. So you're gonna
Yeah.
get less dimming over time, and then it is gonna be less likely to cause image retention and permanent screen
Right.
burning. We know that heat is the problem with these OLED displays. So I
Yep.
think overall for reliability, this is a plus. Now you might think, well, this anti-glare is protecting the screen a little bit, and yeah, that might be true. I mean, you can clean this, and yeah, that's true. But I mean, are you gonna ruin the quality? I mean, I don't even put anything on top of my phone. It might break. I might get a scratch on it, but I don't want to ruin the quality of the display putting something on top of it. Most people do, but yeah, let's see more pictures. We have more pictures here, and also let's read the comments. Look, if you want to answer any questions from the comments, I can just pop it right. Oh, look, we
Yeah.
have Classy here. Let's read. Classy says, if anyone remembers when 1440p 120 hertz monitors first came out, and
Yeah,
it was
he's right.
popular to import cheap ones from Korea.
Yeah, what were those called, Cecil? What were those? I remember that was a whole big thing on Hard Forum too. Guys were doing that. What was the name of that
I don't know
company?
because I'm coming from Q. I never had the chance of of doing this. So
I
he's
feel like
saying
it's yeah.
you could get them with pure gloss, no
Yeah, he's
film or
right.
filter.
Yeah. So basically, pretty much kind of like what, Apple was in the cinema displays, those IPS displays did not have any anti-glare or anything. It was just pure, naked LCD panel. That's also why if you ever see any of those, I mean, yeah, the contrasts are not amazing on them, but they're damn clear though. They're super clear.
Yeah, this is the anti-glare. So what about the smell of this thing? How bad is it? You're wearing a mask in your video because
Yeah, it doesn't smell good. I mean, it's definitely off gassing. So like when you get a new TV and you're taking off that protective film, right? The
mhm,
normal protective film,
yeah,
it's got an off gassing smell to it.
mhm.
Times that by 10, and that's what you kind of have smell wise with this. I'm
So
super sensitive to smells, so I was wearing a mask. And I will say this is that if you do the paper towel method, you're not going to have that smell. It's just going to come off, and that'll be it. I mean, I will tell you this: if I did the paper towel method and I showed everybody how to do that on the television, I don't think there's a single person would bother doing it, to be honest with you.
wow. I mean, you have to show that, man. Let me because the thing is, I was thinking, I don't want to do this on my basement. I'm gonna have the TV on the basement. But if I do it here, I was thinking if this is toxic or something. I do have some air purifiers, but that might be a problem. I might want to do it outside the house or something. Do you
Yeah.
think it is toxic or it just smells bad?
I
Do
mean,
you know?
anytime, I mean, we live in a world where we're like, every one of us probably has some plastic inside of us now, right?
Yeah,
Microplastics, supposedly. So
yeah.
science says. I would assume this is not something you'd want to be breathing in a closed environment for a long period of time. So like FOMO's sitting there for hours on stream, right? And he's smelling it. It's right next to him. Probably not good. Um, I used a mask, and as soon as I got it off, I took that all and I threw it immediately out of in the trash outside. Did not keep it inside. So I mean, I just would recommend wearing a mask, wearing gloves, um, and doing it that way.
And let
In
me
an
ask
open
you.
area, yeah, definitely. Like what Spieler's saying, like if you could do it out like in an open air place, absolutely would be the best scenario. Don't even do it inside if you don't have to.
And let me ask you. I asked FOMO on the stream if I said, hey, Value Electronics should definitely offer, the option to purchase the TV. They offer calibration now, add the anti-glare removal. That would sell like hotcakes. Let me tell you. Would you
Yeah.
be down to be hired by Value Electronics, or or any nearby? Let's say is too far from you. Any nearby
Yeah,
stores
sure.
to
I
do
would
something
I would
like that?
definitely do it. I definitely would do that for sure.
I mean, that would be amazing. Any independent store that offered this service,
Yeah.
if it's not something that would be very risky. I mean, like if you do 10 of this, how many do you think you get wrong?
0.
Zero. Okay. Well, then it's a no-brainer. Just add a easy profit for the store. Sometimes the stores make more money with the warranty and the memberships and all of that than with the
Yeah.
TV itself. Sometimes what they're making with the TVs is just a small, very very small cut. Just
Yeah,
add this
yeah.
as a service, like $100 more or something like that.
Sure.
I think
Yeah.
I'm lagging. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa! I run out of battery on my phone. That's why my video went out. So let me plug it. I forgot to plug it in. Well, I'm still
Yeah.
here because I'm using the PC. So I think that would be a no-brainer, any of these stores to offer this. But yeah, unfortunately, FOMO was saying Value Electronics doesn't like the idea of doing that.
I wouldn't imagine Robert would be into this.
Yeah. So let me.
But it looks like John Lira says this. So is Brian and FOMO going to Value Electronics this weekend again? I don't know if they are. Are they?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know if
Let
they.
me.
I mean, if they are, I mean, I could bring the 55 down there. I wouldn't drag the 77, but I could bring the 55 there. I mean, the
So
55 without the one connect box, it's like 25 pounds or something like that. It's super light. That's the other thing I was gonna say. This 77, I can put on my gallery stand that I had for my G1, and the 77 weighs 2 pounds less than the 65-inch G1 weighed, which is ridiculous.
yeah, I mean it's only screen. It's
It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's as thick as an iPhone too, which is kind of crazy. It's like it's super thin, super like super nice in that regard.
And let me ask you here to this comment. He was saying that he sand and polish. Have you seen this method where people um, try to
Yeah,
polish the surface
yeah.
other
That's
than?
the like wet sanding it. I mean, you realize this person. What's her name? The artist formerly known as PC Payload. Um, it's not removing the anti-glare, it's just smoothing it out a lot. And so if you saw a dramatic improvement just doing that, imagine what it would look like if you actually removed the anti-glare.
Yeah, because also the glue is still there.
Yeah,
So
I mean
all
it's
the
all still there. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I saw there's a company that actually put a gorilla glass on
Yeah,
top of a
dough,
matte
right?
finish. Yeah,
Wasn't it
no, yeah,
dough? Yeah.
yeah. So imagine that looks better.
Hmm.
So, but you still have the matte behind that. That's just a mess. Why they
That's
didn't?
silly though. Like so
That is
like that
silly.
was also false advertising, I feel like, cuz they were like, "Oh, it's going to be pure gloss, right?" And so
Yeah.
everybody's thinking it's just going to be a bare screen with Gorilla Glass over it, which is great. That's fine. But that they put it over a matte screen. Like what were they thinking?
That's a terrible idea. So let me ask you, why
Awful.
would they do that? Like they didn't have competence to remove
I
it,
don't
or
know.
was
I don't know about other people who heard, but I haven't heard necessarily the nicest things about that company.
yeah.
So I don't know. It just maybe their intentions are good as far as doing the Gorilla Glass, but over a matte screen that still defeats the purpose. You're not getting a glossy screen technically.
Yeah, see, as we can see here, S95D, and it is glossy. I mean, it's clear. This thing is, you see, I've been doing YouTube for 2 years and trying to record a TV with my phone. I understand the limitations of recording. So when I look at these things, I have a better idea of what's going on. I can immediately tell, okay, there's no way this is glossy. I mean, just look at the reflections of the entire room. And it's of course due to the camera settings again. You have to intentionally show this, and that's what they're doing here in a very bright room. But you can see here S95D, no matte finish. This was done, and this I think this
Yeah.
one told me he threw it away immediately, so he didn't have the peel to show anymore.
Yeah, well, with the smell and the fact off, there is a serious like cathartic feeling of ripping this off because for some of us, it's super annoying to have a beautiful screen like this hampered with something that's so obnoxious put over it. It's like Samsung has like glares in the past. There was a TV they had, the Q9F. It looked like a black void almost, but it was glossy. And they have the ability to make amazing anti-glares, but what they've put on the QDOLEDs from the S95B and on, glossy wise, has been heavily magenta tinted. And if you try to clean it or you get fingerprints on it, it's very, very difficult to get
It's a
off.
mess. It's a mess.
And in some cases near impossible. You know, yeah, I mean, now you can clean the screen. You could put fingerprints all over it, clean the screen with a microfiber and water, and it just looks brand new again.
So
No scratches, nothing.
let me answer this question. I have a friend who has this monitor, the Asus PG32U CDM QD OLED. That has a glossy finish. So it's like, it has some anti-glare. It's like the S90C, S90D, maybe less anti-glare than that. So I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't
That's
do
like
it.
your MSI one that you have. That's
Yeah, that's like,
that has the
yeah,
same thing. Yeah.
yeah. So I would not do it. But think about this. You don't. I think you no longer have to be so concerned about damaging the screen when you're cleaning it. Of course, be careful so you don't damage it. But then it is not the end of the world if you actually messed up the screen. You know that there's a way with a paper towel that you can remove it.
Hmm.
So I think that's such a peace of mind to have with QD OLED. One of the
Yeah.
biggest issues with QD OLED was that magenta tint, and it was almost impossible to clean. Now you know there's a way that you didn't ruin your monitor with this, with
Yeah.
the cleaning.
So let me answer a couple questions I see here. So for John Lira, I mean, John, if they are going down there this weekend, I'll text Brian if he wants me to go down there. I can bring the 55, and we can have them compare. The problem is that I think they have usually, so the Mark II comes in a 55 and 65. I assume they're probably going to have the 65 there. And usually the G5 is a 77, if I remember correctly. And then they got an 83 G4 there. They had 83 G5s as well. The problem when you're comparing different size screens is that the larger screens generally tend to make it look brighter because they're just a larger screen. But that's not necessarily the case, it being brighter or not. But I'll ask
Yeah, I
John
mean,
if he's going down there.
yeah, that definitely matters because I remember having the 55-inch S95C
Hmm.
side by side with a 65-inch S90C, and yes, the S95C was brighter, but I was struggling to see the difference because the screen size
Size, yeah.
it
Size
just
plays a
made,
huge part.
yeah,
Yep.
it's a huge factor.
Yep.
And I much rather go with a bigger size, that's for sure.
Yeah,
So
right.
what you did, for example, you got a 77 S95D. Of course,
Yep.
I would go with that all day over 55 S95F. I mean, it's not close.
Well, the 55 is a D as well. It's not an F. They're
Oh, that's
both
a D too.
95 Ds. Yeah, so the 55 I bought brand, so here's the kicker of it all. I bought the 55 brand new. I think it was 16.99 plus tax. And then I noticed they had a 77 open box, two of them, and I'm like, okay, they were marked at 16.58 each, and they were in fair condition, no stands, and one had a scratch on the screen. And I went home, used this for like a day and a half, the 55, removed the anti-glare, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks bonkers. This looks incredible. So I'm like, I go grab a 77 too for the same price. So I went and did that. And, honestly, the 55, it really just depends size wise. When we talk about screen size and everything like that, the bigger screen is more immersive, obviously, but there's certain, these screens, by the way, I only got them for games. I would not use them personally in a living room environment that I have. I have to have a very, very bright to be in the living room and something I don't have to babysit. If somebody leaves it paused for 2, 3 hours, I don't have to worry about it burning in or anything like that. So I use these screens for games only. And some games are more enjoyable on the big screen, and then other games are a little bit easier to take in on a smaller screen. It just really depends your environment and your sitting distance. But they're both these, and they have different firmwares on them, but they both act the same. There's no brightness differences. I know that there's some people out there saying that these updates nerf the brightness and blah blah blah. But one has the most brand new firmware out there, and then the other one appears, from what I can research, it has like firmware from like 4 months ago. So it's
Yeah.
like I don't see any difference, right?
Yeah, so
But
what
when
I'm gonna
class
do
comes
is
and
I
does the
will.
calibration, you do and you'll find out if indeed the brightness is different between the two of them. But I don't believe that there is. At least from my eyes, I can't see it.
No, and that's very unlikely. So I think there's a lot of fear mongering out there when it comes to Samsung firmware updates, and with a good reason.
Yeah,
Samsung
rightfully
messed it
so.
up,
The
rightfully so.
95B, the 95B was bad. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know if you knew anything about that, but
yeah,
they
yeah,
they nerfed the 95B's brightness.
yeah. But even then, uh, I know it is not the same because some people, with instruments, they told me it was not the same.
Mm.
But if you go to the service menu, you could still get those 1500 nits even after
Yeah,
the
you're
nerf.
right. You could get it back.
You can get
Yep.
it back.
Yeah,
So
you're
it
right.
was not the same because they were telling me that out of the box with Ana pick on the
Mm.
service menu not being maxed out, it was still 1500 nits. But now my question is, if you max out that brand new S95B with day one firmware,
Hmm.
if you max out the Ana pick, do you get more than 1500 nits? Do you get more full screen brightness, or was it the same? So
I
I
have
don't
not
know
done
about that.
anything with the. I don't know. I mean, I didn't touch the end peak on these yet, and I don't even know if we'll do that or not. I don't know how that works out, but I just turned off the ABSL because I can't stand that. So
So So I think I would definitely do it on the S95D because, by the way, let me turn back on my camera. So
so
on the
what are you getting? What,
S95D,
3,000 peak? What are you
yeah,
getting? 3,000?
yes, on a small window. And the thing is, it's not. So, of course, Classy is gonna tell you better. I mean, just ask Classy. He's gonna tell you what are the downsides and all of that, and he's gonna calibrate the TV. I mean, I would definitely do it and let him calibrate it so it's perfect, as good as possible. The thing is, you just have to max out the Anapic, and then you have EOTF tracking settings on the service menu. You have one
Yeah.
HM Pad Pick W Plus for your game mode, and what you have to do is to increase that value so you don't overtrack the EOTF. So when you max out Anapic, you're going to overtrack the EOTF a little bit. Then you just have to squash down um, that to get it back where it should be. And that's not a big
Hmm.
deal, man. I know I cannot get accuracy without instruments for sure. But what I do is, okay, I know that if I max out the Anapic on the S95D, I'm supposed to get clipping at 3000 nits. I just use a test pattern. That's it. Just max out Anapic, use a test pattern, and increase the HM Pack Pick W Plus value until it clips at 3000 nits. That's it. It's very
Yeah.
simple. I don't think there's a lot more you can do anyway, even if you have instruments to calibrate. There's not a lot more settings you can change. Um, so
So do you think on the F you could do an Anna peak to get it at 4,000? Because doesn't that panel go up to 4,000 in theory, the
yes,
fourth gen one? Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So now the thing is, with the S95F, you are already getting 440 nits out of the box full screen.
Right.
So I don't think you're gonna get better than that by maxing out the Anapic, and that's
Oh,
the most important.
here's something to chew on. I don't think I shared it with you. So all the photos and videos I put in, so I'm not sure if people are aware of this or not. So it was an SDR game mode, 50 brightness, 38 contrast, 25 color. Um, it's in PC mode, so I've got it on 10 sharpness, which is the correct sharpness for it. Warm 2, and here's the kick of it all. Peak brightness is off, and it's
So you
that damn
nerfed
bright.
it. You nerfed it for the.
Yeah, like literally peak. Just to give you an idea, because when I was comparing the 77 that had the glare still on before I removed it, and the 55 it without the glare, in order for the have the same brightness as the one without, I had to the one without the glare had peak brightness off, and the one with the glare, I had to put peak brightness at medium to get similar brightness, just to give you an idea of how much of a brightness difference it is removing the anti-glare. It's a
Wow.
huge difference.
So I get what you're saying. You're trying to match the brightness for the video, and you have to nerf
Yes.
the. You have to reduce the brightness. Oh man, that's
Yes.
unbelievable. I thought there was gonna be a brightness difference, but not that big.
It's significant. It's
Wow.
significant.
So let me tell you, man. When it comes to the Anapic on the S95F, I think the most important thing is the full screen brightness. Um, but of course,
Yeah.
the peak brightness definitely makes a difference. But now the thing is, if you max out Anapic, and then it is very difficult to get it accurate, I would not do it on the S95F. If the full screen brightness is maxed out already, like if you cannot get more full screen brightness, I much rather go with the accurate HDR than to get it wild and then it might be under tracking the EOTF, or I don't know. I would still try it, but it might be a better option to just not do anything. Um, so then on the S95D, maybe you don't. I'm not sure about the full screen brightness. Probably doesn't improve, but the difference on the peak brightness is huge. Is
Hmm.
huge. You go, I think it's like 1700 or 1800 nits peak. You go to
Hmm.
up to 3000. That's
Well,
that's kind of.
I think that yeah, modding the D with Anna peak seems to be like a no-brainer because I mean you're
Yeah,
going from 17 to 3000. That's a huge difference.
that's a huge difference. So I would definitely do it. And it's not. I mean, if you're gonna get classy, you can get it perfect. I would definitely tell classy, hey, just get it wild. Just go, and then calibrate like that. But if you don't have a calibrator, I think it's not that difficult. Just max out Anapic for game mode. You go to HM Path Pick W plus, and then increase that value until it's clipping at 3000. Now you have to know with Samsung, if you are on the PC, the tone mapping is kind of buggy. For example, if you open the HDR calibration app on Windows, it's not going to be clipping right unless you open a video on HDR or a game for some reason. I don't know why. So when you're playing a video, you have to be aware that it might not be clipping right. So open with a different player just in case to double check, um, to adjust the values. But it's not difficult because even when you are on the service menu, you can have the test pattern in the background and then be increasing the value until
Hmm.
you see it's clipping. And it's even better because when you are on the service menu, it is significantly dimmer, so you can look at the test pattern without being bothered by the brightness. So
Yep.
and it works. Then when you go out of the service menu, you double check and it should be the same. Just a lot more painful to look at the test pattern. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's a
Right.
no-brainer for the D. For the F, maybe it's not, but
I
I
don't
would
know.
still do it.
4000 sounds pretty intense. So that
Yeah, yeah, I would
sounds
still do it.
tempting.
Yeah, it's man, it's just an amazing display. You're telling me it's even brighter and now looks like a phone.
Yeah, well, to answer Spieler's question there, 400 nits full screen. I am unable in a black dark room at night to turn on the peak brightness in SDR. It's that bright. So like I'm not even sure like if I'm running at 50 brightness, which is the max brightness in SDR, right? Contrast at 38. So I'm not even maxing out the contrast and I have the peak brightness off. Like I can't imagine if I had the F, I'd probably be running the brightness at like 40 if that's the case. Like that it's overpoweringly bright in a dark room as it stands currently. Just an
Look,
SDR with no peak.
let me say something about that. By the way, DYSN, ask your any question you want. I'm gonna pick it up, so Luke can answer for you. So let me tell you this: the problem. There's a lot of videos, YouTube videos outside, um, that compare SDR, accurate
Mhm.
SDR, in let's say filmmaker mode, with settings that are maxing out the brightness or trying to juice it up, right? And yes, it might look better. It might be better. But the thing is, that's not SDR anymore. So it's like you're comparing two different things. Like accurate SDR, in my opinion, is you don't get a 4,000 nits TV to use accurate SDR. It's like you're watching low resolution content. I mean, these TVs are going to shine at the maximum refresh rate, maximum FPS, maximum HDR brightness, perfect for the TV. So yeah, if you don't have a way to get the content to be HDR and all of that, then yeah, what can you do? Just increase the brightness on SDR. But the thing is, with HDR, HDR is an absolute. So from near black to the midtones and the way it should look, it's not going to be brighter because the TV is brighter. So things that's gonna be brighter is the highlights. You're gonna
Mhm.
get higher color volume, and with a higher full screen brightness, if you have a daytime scene that yes is super bright, you're gonna get that too. But
Yep.
but maxing out the SDR might feel like, oh, this is too much, because what you're doing is going beyond the way it should look.
Right.
So it's not, it doesn't look right. But the brighter the better on HDR, because HDR is an absolute. So my point here is, on HDR, on accurate HDR, you can get all the brightness and all the colors and it looks the best. You do not have to mess up the TV settings to get the best out of your TV on HDR. If the content doesn't look great and impressive, it's because it is not. It's just that's it. So you just have to get a different content or change the content. With gaming, we can do that. With gaming, we can change the content. Now on the PC, we have this Reno DX HDR mods, which are absolutely incredible. You get more details that what we were getting on SDR, because
Hmm.
have you tried that? By the way, you're saying you play on the
No.
PC.
No.
So do you play like PC gaming, GPU, all the stuff?
Both. Both.
Okay. So
Console and PC.
okay, well, I highly recommend you try. You have to download Reshade with full add-on support, and
Yep.
download the Reno DX HDR mod for the specific game. So each game has its own mod. Maybe the game you're trying doesn't have it, but maybe try an Unreal Engine game. There's like a universal Unreal Engine for Reno DX HDR that should work for most games. The
Hmm.
difference is absolutely huge, because these mods, what these mods are doing is at the engine level. The information that is there that you don't see on HDR is revealing that detail, and you see details never seen before. I'm telling you, it just looks absolutely perfect. So when you see that with accurate HDR, so let's say class is gonna go, and calibrate your TV, you are going to get the absolute best, most impressive thing you can get with accurate HDR. You don't have to use any special settings with contrast enhancer, active tone mapping, and do this and that to get anything great. Accurate HDR looks the best. You want to have an accurate white balance, and you want to have perfect EOTF tracking. The content sometimes it sucks. Then that's, you get a game with broken HDR, or you get a movie on Netflix that's graded to be 300 nits. Of course it sucks. It's the content. Of
Hmm.
course. Then if that's the case, what can you do? Just stop the TV. But with gaming on the PC, we don't have to do that, and it's gonna look the best. So give that a try. I'm telling you, you're gonna be blown away.
Well,
I've
PC
shown.
gaming is always the best looking. There's no
Yeah,
doubt about that.
yeah. So let's answer some of these questions. So let's see. Someone wants to. Okay, let's see if we have this question. So he says, I just want to know if it is possible to do this on like the PG 32 UCDM or MSI 32 2URX, etc. Uh, it already looks glossy, but if it is possible to do this, it will get even glossier, brighter, no more scratches. So I guess
Yeah.
you couldn't go back to the beginning of the stream, because when we stream on HDR, you cannot go back. Once we finish, you will be able to do that. We actually talk about that. Yes, you can do it, but it might not be worth it because it's already glossy enough, I think. But yes, this thing is behind that. Is to answer your question. This perfect glossy phone like this is probably behind, most likely. I mean, almost for sure. But I don't think it would be worth it to do it. But if you want to try it in one of them, go for it. But you have to do a
So
different method. Is what Luke was explaining. You have to
yeah, it's a
use the
different
paper towel
method,
method.
Dyson. And Dyson, if you need to contact me, just go and message me on one of the videos, my YouTube channel, and we can connect from there. But the thing is this is that if you have a QD OLED glossy monitor or TV, the only real reason I think you'd want to go through the effort in removing it is if you've damaged your glossy screen by cleaning it improperly or getting scratches on it, or if the magenta tint really bothers you a lot, then yeah, this is significantly better than that glossy in that regard. As to in a bright room, I mean, I guess my question to everybody, and like Ricardo, who was saying it's like a mirror, and I see that comment a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's just showing this. Do you think your phone's a mirror? Because it looks identical. These photos that they're showing you is with white walls with lots of lights on.
Yeah.
So go take your phone in a room with lots of lights on and put it up and have the white wall reflecting behind it. I mean, it's identical to the phone in every respect. I had the iPhone sitting literally right next to it, side by side. It's the same color reflection, the same look, perfection, color, clarity wise, it's identical. It's literally identical to an iPhone 16 Pro.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, go ahead.
and also, I had to increase the ISO. I'm sure this person did too. The eyes in light in real life, it does not look like that photo.
Yeah, yeah.
Just straight up, just
Yeah,
doesn't.
that's probably automatic settings from the camera.
Yeah,
It
it just
does
it,
that.
it it's taking in more light, and then
Yeah,
guess what? It makes the screen look like it's a mirror, and it doesn't look like that in
it
person.
doesn't look like that. Yeah. So the thing is, obviously, you're going to get heat. I mean, you unleash the Pandora box. You have the whole internet talking about your discovery, and it is normal. Normal. Again, a lot of people are gonna be afraid of doing this, and instead of trying to learn or accepting it, okay, this is not for me, I'm not gonna do it, they are gonna be upset because they know they're missing out. And they don't want to risk it at the same time. So it is normal. You're gonna get people, you know you're gonna get heat for it. But the reality is the results are gonna be better. I mean, you cannot compare this screen with a matte finish to this. You cannot compare that. It's not even close. It's undeniable. It's undeniable. And you might think, then why Samsung doesn't do it? Because I don't know. I mean, Samsung could literally just not do the final step. I don't know in which step of the process they put the matte finish, but they could just skip
Yeah.
that part and
Well,
sell more TVs.
yeah, Ricardo, why don't you put an anti-glare on your phone and tell me if it looks better?
Okay. My phone is always looking up, and I'm not watching dark content on my phone. So when I am outside on the sun, it's not a problem with my phone either. We also have here Nathan Green. He got an 83-inch G4, and he was concerned about the glossy, matte, raised blacks, and all of that. So he
Hmm.
says Samsung is gonna staple the matte screens on from now on. But you know what, Nathan? I don't care anymore. They can keep doing this on all their TVs forever. I don't care, because if I know I can do this, keep it coming. I much rather, actually, right now, I much rather have Samsung keep doing the matte finish and not the glossy, because it's easier to remove than the glossy. But I understand for the general consumer, it would be better if they just do glossy. Um, it would be better. And actually, I would push for that. But I don't mind if it's this easy to remove. I just don't care. I would just remove it anyway. I don't care about warranty either. A warranty sucks. It's 1 year only. Now I would of course test the One Connect box just to make sure you don't have dropouts, or make sure you have no dead pixels and all of that before you do it. So, but if you have the Best Buy membership or Costco or something like that, you can take it back and return it. They don't care. They're not gonna examine, or no questions asked. So that's not a problem.
Yeah, to answer Jariah's question, we've answered it before, but yeah, you can. You can remove it off the Samsung Matte QD OLED monitors.
Yeah, actually, I show a monitor here. This was the beginning of the stream. Oh, the thing is, people popping in right now, they don't see the beginning of the stream because you cannot
Right,
rewind.
right.
But here's a monitor for you. It works. Here's a monitor. And the thing is, all the people, I have a lot of emails, by the way, a lot of emails, people sending me pictures. All the people are telling me they are blown away with the results. Every one of these people sending me the pictures are telling me, bro, this is next level. I am blown away, and everyone is telling me that was easy, no problems whatsoever. Someone told me it looks like it was intended to be removed, like it was coming with two with two peels. It's crazy how easy for some people think that this was very easy. So of course it depends on the ambient conditions, the heat, the
Yeah, I
humidity.
mean, but that goes for any TV, you know. And the matte screen is going to look, it's going to have a different look in an environment like that right there that you're showing.
Yeah,
So Nathan, to answer your question, I was at Value Electronics 2 weeks ago, and they had the G5, the G4, the 95D, and the 95F. Okay, and they were all playing exact same content side by side by side. And the deal is that the G4, no matter what, could not come close to the 95D or F in color saturation or in brightness. More so, picture uniformity. The G4 and the G5, like all white OLEDs, the uniformity on those are hit and miss. But at the end of the day, QD OLED has a different uniform look to it when you've got motion panning left to right. You don't see the vertical banding. You don't see
yeah.
any of
But the
that dirty screen effect. The G4 and the G5, I could still see it. And so the purpose is, if you go watch the stream that FOMO and Brian did, it was like 7 hours long. But in it, I purposely put on a game, Formula One 2024. That game is absolutely brutal on a display to show vertical banding. And it doesn't matter what kind of display it is, whether it be a plasma with dirty screen effect, a CRT with dirty screen effect, or LCDs, LED TVs, with their DSE, or with the OLEDs with vertical banding. And the only displays I've ever seen that do not have vertical banding in that game are QD OLEDs. That's it. The G4 and G5, I still saw vertical banding in that game.
But let me tell you something, Luke. I can see vertical banding on my S90D, and this is the third S90D I try. So this
That's
was
crazy because the two
the
I've
best
got, they
out of
don't have
three.
that.
But
Yeah.
let me tell you, the vertical banding is only near black, and I can see it because I know exactly what to look for. It's almost impossible to see, but near black is there, and it is more visible for me when I'm playing a game than when I open a full screen gray picture. If I open a
Yeah.
full near black full screen gray picture,
Probably
it
won't
looks
see it.
almost perfect.
Yep.
But in the game, I can see the vertical banding, and it
Yeah, but
was
the
the best
problem
out of
is
three.
that like I see that in the G4 and G5 in light
Oh
content.
no, it's gonna yeah. No, it's gonna be way worse.
Like I
And the
see it
thing,
in all content.
yeah. And the thing is with QD OLED, once you get to over 50% stimulus, is perfect. I tried 6 QD OLEDs; they were all absolutely perfect. After 50%, there's no defects whatsoever. It's just perfection when it comes to the
Yeah.
uniformity, at
And a
least to
lot of
my
our
eyes.
games that we play, you do have a lot of bright areas and stuff, and especially like in a racing game like F1, you're panning left to right. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the G4 and G5, I honestly feel like there's been no improvement in that area in a long time. And I
yeah, and
heard that the G5s, because they went to a four stack, that actually the G4s may have better picture uniformity. If you go to the ABS forums, they have
yeah,
an entire thread of picture uniformity only. And there's guys getting G5s now, and they're not looking too hot as far
yeah.
as
But
vertical banding is concerned.
the thing is, if you are at the 83-inch size, you have no option. I mean, that G5 is gonna be the best.
Well, yeah,
Um,
but I heard 83s, though, they've been notoriously had more banding issues than other sizes, more obvious.
well, let me tell you this: in the ultimate 500 hertz QD OLED monitor, I think it makes sense to to remove the anti-glare. I'm gonna get that monitor for review. Hopefully, I
Yeah,
already asked MSI, but it's glossy, man. Let me tell you, this 360 hertz QD OLED monitor is so glossy in comparison with the TV. I could see the difference. So I don't think it's worth it. But if I damage the screen, I would absolutely pop that off for sure. So we have a lot of comments. Let's try to before we finish, let's try to read the comments and try to see if we missed any questions here before we finish. I don't want to go too late and abuse of your time. I mean, we can do this another day. You've been in Value Electronics, and I mean, we might have many things to talk about. If you want to do it another day, too, or next week, we can do
sure.
it. But let's try to go and see if we missed any. Okay, let me address this. Samsung mandatory TV nerf through firmware updates. Again, I'm going to update the firmware of my S90D. I have the message already. I'm going to make a video about it. Now the thing is, I do not have a colorimeter. I don't have an instrument to tell you exactly with total accuracy what the numbers are. But when I use this phone app, this Lux Light Meter app, it depends on the distance of the phone and the screen and all of that. But I get very close and consistent numbers. So that number is not accurate. That number is not nits. But if I can get a consistent measurement or very close every time I try, it is a point of comparison. So if I'm gonna show you with my phone, I'm gonna show you. Okay, let's measure this test pattern. Let's measure the brightness. We're gonna write that down. I'm going to update the firmware on the same video in real time, and then I'm gonna measure again the same thing with the same settings on the TV, and let's see if we are losing brightness. I don't believe so, but I have to test it because there is some claims out there that the TV is losing brightness. So I'm gonna take the bullet. If we lose brightness, then I'm gonna let you know in real time. I don't believe so. I think there's a lot of fear mongering out there. Why? I mean, why the news do that? Because fear mongering keeps people glued to the screen. I don't believe it is true, and I don't see the reason why Samsung would do that. It doesn't make any sense. They did it one time, so rightfully so, you're suspicious that's gonna happen again. But I mean, they did it with the first S95B because literally it seems like they released the TV like max out already, and they are like, okay, next year what are we gonna sell? If it's 1500 nits already, so let's hold it back. I get it, but I don't believe this has ever happened again, and I don't see a reason why Samsung would do that. So I think it's all fear mongering. But I'm gonna make a video and I'm gonna show in real time. And if I see, if we see 50 more or less, I mean that's just an error on the measurement. But the claims are huge. The claims are that we are losing more than 50% brightness. So even with inaccurate measurement, I should be able to see a big difference on the numbers. So
Yeah,
let's
that'd
see if
be
that happens.
obvious. Yeah, that'd
I
be
mean,
obvious.
even to my I don't even need to use my phone. I can see it from a mile
Yeah.
away. If 60% brightness reduction or something like that, I mean that's a
Well,
big
I'll
claim.
just say this is that if you upgrade it, the firmware, and then it does do that, to my knowledge, I don't think you can backdate your firmware.
No, you cannot. You're messed up. And I
And
don't. Of course, I don't like
and,
that.
and
I
I
don't
will
like
say
that.
this: there is theories and tests that have shown that phones over time get slower with firmware updates, whether it be because of more security being put on or whatever it is.
Hmm.
But it wouldn't surprise me because here's the thing: would you want to Ariel get a TV that's good for 5, 10 years?
Oh, absolutely. But Samsung
You
doesn't
know,
want that.
so it wouldn't surprise me if they would do something like that. And who's going to come after them with that? You're going to get class action lawsuit because you've cut the brightness in half on your people. Got to get a new TV because it's too dim. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see when you do it. You can take the bullet for all of us because I personally did not put either of my TVs on the internet. I am not letting any firmwares go on there.
But let me tell you, if we look, I started this fundraiser for the S95F because people want me to get the TV to
Yeah,
show this and to test it and share the settings and all of that. If I get that TV with that money, I am covering all the firmware updates the best I can, and I'm showing you absolutely everything about that TV. I would take the bullet. I mean, I would do it with my S95 with my S90D, and I paid it with my money. So I'm here for that. That's why I have this YouTube channel. I'll take the bullet. I
yeah. I
don't
mean, they
think.
could do in a firmware update where you can't go in and change the ABSL or the ana peak.
No,
Like
I
they
don't
could
think
do
that.
weird stuff like that.
I don't think that will ever happen. Like
No,
to restrict access to a service menu and all of that. I don't think they can because the that's necessary for the technicians and all of that.
sure,
Why
yeah.
would they why would they revamp the service menu and change it? Like they
Mm.
don't care about the enthusiast community is insignificant for Samsung. They don't care about that. I don't
I don't
think
know
they,
if
they
you
care at
can.
all.
I don't think you can ana peak the Samsung monitors, although I would assume there's a service menu for the monitors too.
Yeah, there are. I think there are some monitors that have the Tyson. Yeah, like he's saying,
Yeah.
if it has Tyson, maybe
Huh.
you can access the service menu.
Probably. Yeah.
Maybe. So try the color control app on the PC. So the thing is, I do not rule out, of course, that we have to test it. But I mean, we're talking about the claims out there are huge, and huge claims require
Yeah, you gotta
like
test
huge
it.
evidence and all
Yeah.
that stuff. You know, we're gonna try it. We're gonna try it. I'll take the bullet, and if it messed up my TV, then I am screwed. But I'll do it for the community. That's why I have the YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
let's see what happens. I don't believe nothing's gonna happen. It's gonna be the same. But I'll do it and see what happens. So you wanna leave it there, Luke?
I'm just looking to see if I missed
Okay,
any
go ahead.
questions
Yeah, see
here. Um,
if you have any final questions for Luke, just pop that in the comments. We missed a
yeah.
lot. Of course, we had a lot to talk about.
Yeah, Nathan, I saw you put that stuff on the Reddit page. I'm definitely getting a lot of hate on the Reddit, so I'm not really interested in reading that stuff anymore. Um, let's see here. Can you pull? We answered that. I mean, I think if you have a bright room, I would not. If you're putting this in the living room, I would opt to not do this mod if you're in that scenario. This is definitely more of a light controlled environment. But I got to tell you, even the matte screen, I know people say, "Oh, it looks great in a light bright room," but not really. To me, at least, it wasn't. So, I mean, I would take a G5 in a lit living room scenario
Yeah,
over matte S95F.
yeah, and I
Uh,
think the G5 will be better even over this because the G5 it looks black. It has that polarizer, even under lighting conditions. In the blacks are more black. For a living room with lights, I would take the G5. But the thing is,
yeah.
if you don't have ideal lighting conditions, why would you spend so much money on an OLED, man? Just get an LCD. It's gonna be a lot brighter. You don't care about picture quality anyway. If you have a completely sun-soaked room, just get an LCD. That's what I would do. Just save the money and get an LCDs are not bad under those conditions. LCDs are great.
No, they're
You
great. You know,
you
they're
cannot
great,
see
especially the
you.
mini LEDs. I mean, they're
Yeah,
super bright. So, I
they're
mean, you
amazing.
have a living room condition, you know, and you got bright lights and stuff. And yeah, I would. And honestly, I got to tell you, I mean, I'm sure there's people on here that have OLEDs as living room TVs, but you know, I got people that like pause a screen and walk away for 2 hours and come back. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like I wouldn't want to deal with, you know, that kind of stuff with an OLED personally.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like the family. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't care at all. The thing is, this QD OLEDs. I have the S90C for the family room. When you pause the movie for a moment, it immediately goes to like a screensaver immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't
No, that's
stay.
good. That's good.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be worried about that. So how about G4, G5, S95D? So I think without a doubt, and I haven't even tested it, but it's obviously QD OLED is a superior technology. Let me tell you something.
Hmm.
I can see a difference between my LG C1 and any of these QD OLEDs, even if I just have 50 nits on screen, 50, 100 nits of nothing special. It could be anything, literally any example you show me. I can see the difference. It's not even close. The QD OLED looks better because it looks more correct, the uniformity, and also for my eyes. I don't know why. I don't know if this is something for everyone, but for my eyes, the QD OLED technology is more gentle to my eyes. The brightness on my LG C1 is more eye searing, more bothersome, a lot more. I'm telling you, it's not even close. Like that these QD OLEDs. I can be looking at these QD OLEDs all day long, even if they are very bright. A lot brighter on the C1. And the C1 is a lot harder. Actually, I like a lot to use blue light killer settings on my C1 because of the eye strain. So I have significantly less eye strain with QD OLED. Now, why? I don't know why. And I was expecting the opposite because you have like blue OLEDs in the back. So maybe I was
Hmm.
thinking, oh, because they are blue lights are nasty, it's gonna be terrible for my eyes. And it's all the opposite. I don't know why. So I don't know if this is something that other people would
I had the
experience
same
too.
experience. I have the
You
exact same
do?
experience. So, yeah. So the problem with the LG OLEDs, I find them to be harsh on my eyes, and I think that it's some of it has to do with the fact that it's got that white OLED, right? And
Mm.
they definitely and the G5 are pushing that harder than they've ever pushed it before. But I will tell you, the G5 looks a lot closer to QD OLED as far as color saturation, and even the whites look closer, but still they're not exactly the same. But there is a huge jump up from the G4 to G5. So anybody that's debating between you want to stay with LG only, right? And I can respect that. And I've had multiple G series in the past, and they're good. I would say spend the extra money and go for the G5. The jump from the G4 to the G5 is much closer to an overall look of a QD OLED, and it's just got a much warmer, more natural image to it than the G4. The G4 just looks like a brighter G3, which looks like a brighter G2 and then a G1. You know, it's just they got brighter, 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 but there's a real drastic difference what they did with the G5. There's
And
definitely a difference.
I'm saying yes because the thing that called my attention the most when I saw the G5 on camera, because I've recorded these TVs with my camera and I know what happens when you do that, is that like you were saying, it's looking closer to the QD OLED. The way it looks on camera, the tint
Hmm.
that you see, it was different than the regular QD WRGB OLED. So definitely the force stack is changing the light, the wave, the quality of the light output. Like it's different. Like it's like before they are all about the same, just more brightness. With the MLA, you get the raised blacks, but it's still about the same thing. But the G5 looks to be different, but it's still W OLED. But it seems to be different. Now, the other thing I want to say when it comes to marketing on the G5 and these QD OLEDs, is that
Yeah.
everyone is talking about tandem with the G5. Well,
Yeah.
the S95F also has tandem. So I don't know why they don't talk about it.
Yeah, the third gen ones, which is the 95, the 90 and 95Ds, those are 4 layer, and then the 95F and 90F are 5 layer.
Yeah.
And they're, if you go to the ABS forum and go into the picture uniformity thread, the 95 and 94, 95 and 90Fs, they don't have very good picture uniformity right now. I guess they've got some banding issues, and people are thinking it has to do
Mm.
with it now going to a 5 layer over the 4 layer that they had previously. If you go watch Vincent's review, he also showed
Yeah, he
the
complained about the uniformity.
95F has problems with vertical banding.
Yeah.
You all probably are aware, but it's a lottery. You could get a G5 or 95F that doesn't have a lot of vertical banding, um, perceivable in content. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're LG only, G5 is worth the extra money to save up or to go for over the G4. Having seen them both side by side for 7 hours at Value Electronics with every kind of content you can imagine, definitely worth going with the G5. Oh, and also the G5, the coating on it is different than the G3 and the G4. The G3 and the G4 had MLA on it,
Yeah.
and the MLA kind of blurred it. If you saw like a pixel, shot of a G4, G3, the MLA kind of actually blurs the image a little bit. The G5 has a blacker reflection versus the G3 and the G4. The G3 and G4 had a more of a magenta tint to it, whereas the G5 looks much similar to like a or C4 reflection. So if you like a C3, C4 reflection, G5.
Yeah. I mean,
So I mean,
that's
if
the
you want to stay in the LG camp, G5 is the way to go. Period.
that's the highlight of the G5. I think the way the screen looks on it just you preserve the contrast better. I think that's just a it makes a big difference. So
Well, the
yeah, so it's
95F, so like what John's saying there is the 95F was in between the G5 and the 95D, between the 95D and the G5. The 95F was at Value Electronics. The 95F was brighter, and that's with the matte screen. So you're probably right. If you took the matte screen off the 95F, and then if you like Anna peaked it to 4,000 nits, it probably
it's
look
a wrap.
literally bonkers. It would
It's a
just
wrap.
destroy the G5.
So I also want to say something. My experience trying the first generation QD OLED, I tried first, second, and third generation because I got the S90C with the first generation QD OLED panel, then the S95C that was second gen, and then I got the S90D, and I got three S90Ds, two S95Cs. It's a lottery. Okay, the screen uniformity is a lottery, and I experienced that. I got six TVs to end up with two. But the S90C first generation QD OLED, it was perfect. Like I was hoping to get the 2000 nits panel, so I got 1500 nits the first generation, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. It didn't even cross my mind to replace it because the TV is just absolutely flawless. It's the best screen uniformity I saw out of all those six QD OLEDs.
Oh,
It
keep
was
it.
not close. I'll
Yeah.
keep it. So it's
Yeah.
so clean and so perfect. And then I search online, and there are reports that yes, it seems like that first generation QD OLED was exceptionally good when it comes to uniformity, and then later generations are going kind of a downhill, maybe because of the mass production or quality control, Samsung, whatever it is. So now hearing the reports that the 95F might be worse when it comes to screen uniformity overall, maybe you have a higher chance of getting a panel that's not as clean. That's kind of disappointing because that's one of the highlights of QD OLEDs, the screen
That's
uniformity.
what made me go for the D, Ariel,
Yeah.
because I saw a lot of that stuff. I saw the review. I went on the forum and saw a lot of
Oh,
people getting it and having problems with it and thinking it's a 5 layer. And I'm like, you know what? The 95B had the cleanest uniformity I ever saw on a display. Okay. That was the first QDO that came out. And even Vince says it in his review,
So you
that,
so you experience what I'm talking about. You got the
oh
the
yeah,
S95B.
oh yeah. I had the 95B and I sold it to upgrade to the 95C, and the 95C didn't have as good picture uniformity as the B, but now I can tell you that the D is even better than the B or the C ever was.
Oh,
So
really? So you got a good one. Great.
yeah, I got two good ones. So what's the odds I
Oh,
got
wow.
two good ones? So in different sizes too. So I'm thinking, if a lot of people are saying that the 5 layer on the Fs don't have as good, picture uniformity, I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna go get an open box D and
I
take the
mean,
anti-glare off, and then even talking to Brian. Brian's like, a D with an anti-glare off is better than an F with an anti-glare on.
oh, absolutely. I mean, I would take
So
that
do you know what I
all
mean?
day.
And if the F has problems of uniformity, and when I say problems of uniformity, I'm saying it's more like, a G4, G5, which isn't horrible or bad, don't get me wrong. But when you've seen a QD OLED, it's got like a perfect uniformity pretty much. It's really hard to like accept one that doesn't, because you
I
know that
mean,
it's out there. It exists.
when I saw my LG C1 again after a few months of just QD OLED, I was shocked when I saw a full widescreen. It was a
Yeah, no tint.
mess.
No
It's
tint.
just a absolute mess. The uniformity, it's just so bad. It's unbelievable. So QD OLED, it's just the number one quality of QD OLED. Of course, perfect blacks that's a must, but the uniformity is just fantastic. So it is sad to hear that, man. If that's actually the case, the F is not that great. You might still get lucky, but if it's not that great, that's a shame because I mean that should be the best TV in the world.
I'll say this much. My question to you is this: would you want to have 440 nit full screen, or 370 nit full screen and better picture uniformity?
No, uniformity all day. But now the
Yeah, right.
S95D, is it that bright? I don't remember actually. What was the brightness?
Yeah,
The is
yeah.
it close to 400?
I think it was like in the 370-ish range.
I think
When
that's
classy them both, I'll have
okay.
them,
On the calibration
obviously get
report.
all that
Okay,
stuff. But
okay.
I'm imagining it's in that range
Yeah,
for
so I
sure.
would say no. If it's 350, yeah, there's no way. I go with a better uniformity all day long. But if it is 300 and you're comparing from 300 to 440, that's it has to be bad. The F has to be bad. If it is like near black only, it's not perfect, but it's kind of okay. But yeah, if it's messed up, I think the screen uniformity is like the way to go. It's just
Yeah,
it's the most
definitely.
important thing. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's see how bad it is. I hope I can get lucky. I'm gonna buy one. Let me tell you, I'm gonna buy one. I am asking the community to support me so I can get it faster. But it's gonna happen. I might have to wait until it gets discounted, but I'm definitely gonna get one. Because I think it's the most. This Samsung TV is for enthusiasts right now. There's nothing that comes even close because we're talking about service menu tweaks, removing the matte finish. It is the most exciting TV in history. I it's so I have to get one. I have to have it. So it's gonna happen. So yeah, man. Let me know how that goes with. Maybe we can do a stream after the classy calibration with a
Yeah, well, maybe he'll
report
live
or
stream it while he's doing
maybe that
it.
would be
I'm
great.
not
Yeah,
sure. That'd
that would be
probably be
great.
the most ideal. So he just live
Yeah,
streams it when he does it. That'd be cool.
that
Because
would
I'll
be
have the
perfect.
77 and 55 right next to each other. So I mean, he could like maybe show one calibrated and one not while he's calibrating the other or something. I don't know, or whatever y'all want to see.
Yeah, that would be perfect, man. That would be great. So let's leave it there, man.
Yep.
Yeah, we can. We can do this again. In another time. You've been doing this for a lot longer than me. I got here to the U.S. like 5 years ago. I never had the chance to afford any of these coming from Cuba. So you've been how long you've been on the AVS forums? You told me like 30 years.
Geez, 2003. I was modding CRTs back 22, 23 years ago.
I mean, so you know a lot more than me. I mean, I have like the experience I have is limited to what I've showed on the channel, which is almost nothing. So I mean, you have a lot to share.
No,
If
you've
you
learned a
want.
lot. I mean, you helped me. So, like, I have a Pioneer Plasma Pro 141
Oh, you
Kuru.
do?
It was the last 60-inch Kuru that they made. I think it's like the January 2008 is when it was made, and it only has like 8,000 hours on it. And so
Wow.
you helped me to go in
Wow.
there and mod it to reduce the ABL on it, and
And
then I also lowered the black level on it because
there's
it had.
another. There's sorry. There's another black reset
Yeah, but I thought it's
video that I have
dangerous
to.
on the 60s though, I think, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is. But that was resolved already. So there's a guide out
Yeah, I
there.
think, yeah,
So
I
I
saw
have to check
that.
that out, do it, and then make another video. But go
I'm
ahead. What?
scared to do that because you could brick it, can't you?
Yeah, you can definitely break it.
Like, so the problem is, so the thing is that when you're messing around and talk about modding a TV, when you start going into plasmas in the service menu, you can really do
Yeah.
some crazy stuff in that. But yeah, lowering the blacks on it, I followed your videos and I was able to lower the blacks. And then honestly, I got to tell you, the ABL on that, it doesn't have ABL anymore. So what was so weird about that TV, and I got to tell you something, input lag. Okay. So I have a 4K Leo Bodner lag tester, and you can change it to 1080p. I changed it to 1080p. Now people were telling me, "Oh, and this is how the internet is, right? The internet is telling me, well, if you port on your Pioneer Plasma, you'll have like no input lag. There's, it's analog and whatever. The TV is digital, so if you're sending an analog signal, it's just going to convert it back to digital. So I lag tested it with a VGA, I lag tested it with the HDMI, and I lag tested it with a component. Okay. And in all cases, it shows on the screen in all three blocks, 51 milliseconds for all three, right? Well, the thing is that then you're like, oh, we'll go to PC mode. PC mode will be even lower. Try that with
Dang.
VGA. Try that with HDMI. So I tried all that. Guess what? Same numbers in
How
every
much is it? Like
mode.
33 milliseconds?
No, it's 51 all three bars. So it literally, what the plasma does is so the Pioneer ones, I think they're 600 hertz. So what that means is that it's showing that image, a 60 hertz image, you know,
Yeah, 10
10,
flashes
10
per frame.
times for one image,
Yeah.
but it's different brightness. So it's like a lower
Yes.
brightness. It goes all the way up to the
Yeah.
bright and then lower down. It kind of, I don't want to say it's like a CRT,
It's
but there's a
using
reason why the
dithering.
the
Yeah.
plasma motion resolution is insane for what it is. It's not as good as CRT, but it's still insane. And so anyway,
Yeah.
I was messing around with it, and I wanted to tell you this is that you have, even though the lag tester is telling you it's 51 milliseconds in all three bars, the TV is processing that 16.7 milliseconds image, that frame, before it shoots it onto the screen. Okay. And it's shooting it on the screen all at one time. Not even a CRT does that. CRT scans line by line, top to bottom. Our OLEDs and stuff like that, it's top to bottom. Okay.
Hmm.
The way that the plasma is doing it, if you go into the game mode in the Pioneer Elites, like the one you have, or the Pioneer Kurus, there's a game control preference option in there. It's hidden in the menus, and it's on the second screen in the menus. You got to go all the way down. And you got to click game control preference on it. It has to be in the game picture mode. Okay, it doesn't work in PC mode. But when you do that, and I did A/B test with 120 frames per second video, even though the lag tester was showing 51 milliseconds with game control preference on and off in game mode and every other mode in that TV, with game control preference on, that TV is and feels significantly quicker than in any other mode. And it doesn't make sense. And so I try to figure out, well, why is the lag tester telling me the same numbers no matter what? And then I got to the point where I realized that the lag tester isn't always going to tell you real world scenarios. I think some TVs shut down all processing when it's only showing those three white bars. So it may show a lower lag number than what it really is. But for the Pioneer plasmas, Ariel, if you go turn on the game control preference on in game mode and turn it off, in a game that and you know for sure you can feel the lag in. Like for me, it's F1. I can feel in the F1 game, there's like this really finite feel in the handling of the car that you can only feel that either one, the TV has no input lag at all on it, or if you're running at 120, 160 frames per second on a display that does that, you can feel this finite control in the game. Most people don't know that in the game because most people are probably playing it on a display that has a lot of lag and you can't feel this finite control in it. I can feel that finite control in that plasma when I put control preference on, but I can't feel it when I put it off. So there is definitely something going on there that the lag tester does not tell you on that.
Well, let
And
me
I got to
tell you.
tell you, out of all my
Yeah.
displays I have, I still like that Pioneer Elite the best because of the motion clarity is
Yeah.
1080p. It's exactly what the resolution you're sending the screen. You're getting, motion resolution too. And if you put that control preference on, it feels just as zippy as anything else I've ever used. It's
I mean,
crazy.
I appreciate you sharing that. I'm definitely gonna try that because I will try. Of course, I have to try the new GPU with the plasma too. I'm definitely gonna try it.
And make sure all
Uh,
the other settings are off. Like if you need help me telling you how to set it up,
oh,
because
absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
I had a lot of conversations with D Nice or Dwayne about that
oh
Pioneer.
really?
He actually bought my 50-inch one off of me when he was calibrating one of my TVs one time. Um, and I learned a lot about the Pioneers from him. And he's the one that actually knew that secret sauce of going into the menu, jacking the brightness in the ABL, turning off, lowering the black levels on it. He's like a maestro when it comes to those plasmas, those elite plasmas. He knows so much. But there's a
Man, that would
lot in
be.
there. There's lots of settings you could turn on that makes the lag. So you
Man,
just got to
why
know
don't you? Let me
what to
ask
do.
you. Do you want to get into YouTube, or you're just uploading these videos because of the Discord? Do you want to start uploading regularly and get more subscribers and all of that?
I would like to. I mean, I feel like I have definitely a lot of experience in this area. I definitely could
I
share a
think you
lot with
do. I mean,
people.
we've been talking. I think we have a lot more to talk about. You have a lot of things to share. I think you should definitely do it. I would like to see that video. Show me how to do that. I'm gonna try it for sure.
Yeah.
I have to see the menu right now. I don't have it clear in my mind what you're talking about. I don't remember the menu very well, but I'm gonna try that. But now let me tell you something else you can try. If you try fast sync in the GPU control panel,
Oh
you
yeah.
can lower the render latency because you can be rendering the game at 300 FPS, but you get no screen tearing because you're just gonna have the sync for those 60 FPS. But because you're rendering at 300, that you have a lot lower system latency with a much
Right.
higher frame rate. Now the thing is that's not, of course, you much rather increase the graphics maybe, but if you have the horsepower and the plasma, that plasma specifically, the input lag is the most, the thing you need the most, really, because motion is good. So do that. Try fast sync. Don't cap the FPS and let it fly. Let it go very very high FPS, and that's going to improve the input lag a lot more too.
Oh yeah,
So that
definitely, absolutely.
I'm gonna try what you're telling me for
Yeah,
sure.
you got to do the game control preference on and then off in a game that you're really sensitive to lag to that you can tell, and you will
Yeah,
feel the difference. I'm going to tell you right now, the lag tester, it just does not tell the whole story. It just doesn't.
that's exciting. And also, I was gonna say this new black reset thing is something completely new. I'm not sure if it was discovered by Dirt Gary, like a Russian guy that
I
knows
think
a
it
lot about
was. I
this.
think I heard that
Yes,
he came out because he's the one that I was when I was researching on the AVS forums. He seemed to be like the guy that kind of
yeah,
shared a lot of this stuff. And I think it may have got you may have got some of your information from him, but like
yeah. So
he
he
knows a
did a
lot.
new, Yeah, he did a new guide. Like he find out a safe way to reset the black level on the 60-inch Kuro. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but my
try
heart
that.
would
I'm
be
gonna make a video.
broken if I bricked that elite,
Yeah,
man. Because first of all, finding another 141 that has that kind of low hours and no burn in is
yeah.
like, forget it, man. So like,
I'll take the bullet, but it's different.
you could
It's
take the
slightly
bullet,
different.
but I'll watch. I definitely
Yeah,
will
yeah.
watch.
I'll try it. The thing is that might not be a very popular video because a lot of people don't have that display. But I'll still do it one of these days when I have the chance. I'll try it. The other thing
Somebody
I
saw it
wanted
in
to,
person. Don't you like the motion on it though? It's just
yeah,
beautiful.
I was gonna explain the motion real quick. If there's one thing, I'm not an expert, but if there's one thing that I understand fairly well, is motion clarity because I was excited about it and I was making videos without understanding it fully, and the Blurbuster chief reached out to me to explain it. He's like, "Okay, you're excited about it. You want to understand it? Let me explain it to you."
Oh, Mark
And
talked to you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Jeez.
Mark is
Well,
he's amazing. Like I
yep.
was asking him questions and he explained me all the stuff. So plasmas can have 4 milliseconds of persistence,
Yep.
but you don't. So 4 milliseconds of persistence ideally is like 240 hertz, like, but you don't have 4 pixels of motion blur when moving at 1,000 pixels per second. That's the blur buster's law because there are other limitations. So you get a little bit worse than the 240 hertz OLED, for example, will be
Yeah,
more
because it's got
clear.
phosphor. It's got phosphor decay on it, so it's
Yeah, but
like,
it's yeah. The explanation of exactly why is maybe gray to gray limitations or whatever it
yeah.
is exactly, but you don't get it perfect. But the thing is, 60 60 FPS on the plasma. I think the motion is the sweet spot where if you get it higher, you can notice it for sure. But it is good enough. I think 240 is a sweet spot. Um, and
Oh
more
yeah,
is
and
better,
I
but
think
it's
playing 60 hertz on that Pioneer looks motion clarity wise very similar, other than like the phosphor decay, to a 240 hertz OLED. Like playing a game at 240 frames on an OLED, it's close.
yeah, yeah, it's good. It's good enough. So yeah, the plasma is a very very special technology. I wish we still have it. It's so
Yeah,
unique.
me too.
Like you were saying, it's like you get 60 FPS and each frame is flashing 10 times. But we're talking about full screen flashes. It's 10
Yeah.
full screen
Yeah,
flashes of the
it's
same frame,
special. It's
and
got it looks like a massive CRT.
yeah,
As far as how the warm glow of the screen, like it's got a different look to it. Have you thought about this? I want to throw this out before we go. Retro Tink 4K, shooting a 1080p 60 hertz image into it, and then using the CRT beam emulator onto a 144 165 hertz QD OLED TV. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't understand. I've never tried the retro thing.
So
What
the
it can
retro
do.
sync, so Mark at Blurbusters created this program called the CRT Beam, and what it does is it, instead of
Yeah,
BFI being like a full
yeah, I
black
know that
screen,
one. I understand that one.
yeah.
I
So the
understand that
retro
one.
sync does that.
But the problem is, so the thing is, to use the CRT simulation, you
Yeah.
need sample and hold, and you need more hertz. So if you have 60 hertz, you cannot improve anything beyond
No,
that.
no, that's not how it works. So what it does is, if you take a 60, so if you, let's say you hook up your PlayStation 5 to it, right? And you're
Hmm.
sending it 1080p 60 frames per second to the RetroTink. The RetroTink, then you say, hey, my screen's 144 hertz, okay? 1080p for, 1080p, and you want to send it 144 hertz. It will then do the CRT beam emulator at 144 hertz for that 60 hertz image. And so, according to Mark, because I was talking to him on the forum, that would, at 144 hertz, it like reduces the motion blur by like 50%. It's more than BFI on these TVs stock. So like if you take a
Yeah,
PS5 and run BFI on an LG OLED right now, or a Samsung QD OLED, The
Yeah,
BFI
QLEDs.
does one full black screen, and then it does one full screen on your game for a 60 hertz image. Whereas the CRT beam emulator emulates a CRT where it's got a soft fade, roll in and roll out of the
Yeah,
image scrolling all the way down. According to Mark, it's significantly brighter than BFI,
it flickers
significantly
less.
less flicker,
Hmm.
and much better motion clarity. So I'm going to try that because I think
But
that sounds amazing to me, that I
yeah,
would
that
be able to
sounds.
get way better motion clarity on a QD OLED
Yeah,
without
but
having to
my
drive it
but
144 hertz.
but what I don't understand is where is the plasma coming in? I understand all of that what you said, but where is the plasma coming in on the equation?
Well, because you're getting a closer motion clarity
Oh, you're
to
talking
a
about getting
plasma.
closer to plasma. Okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. So I think 165 hertz with the G5 and the S95F should be clearer than the plasma, even when it is not. I mean, you have at 120 hertz you have 8 milliseconds of persistence. 144 you have 7. 165 you have 6 milliseconds of persistence. So even when we would still need 200, that's 5, and then 240, that's 4 milliseconds of persistence. So even when 165 is still not up there to 240, but because of the OLED response time and the gray to gray performance, I strongly believe 165 FPS on these OLEDs is gonna be more clear than the plasmas, especially when
Yeah, it's
you
cleaner.
pan.
It's cleaner than
It's
plasma.
cleaner
It's
for
more
sure,
so. Yeah.
and when you pan the camera, it's going to be a little bit more clear. And also, it is better. Brute force sample and hold improves all the aspects of motion clarity. When you reduce the persistence, you are improving eye tracking more. So it's mostly the eye tracking clarity, but there are other aspects of motion clarity on the what you see on the peripheral view. You're focusing on something that's moving on screen, and the peripheral view clarity with brute force sample and hold is better. So I think it's a better experience, but you need 165 FPS, 4K, which is a lot more
Well,
demanding than
it's
60
there's two
FPS.
problems with that though. So the problem is that yeah, you got a 5090. So yeah, you could do frame gen even, you can get games up to that frame rate, right?
Yeah,
But the thing is that there's a lot of games, and you all know this in the chat, that are stuck at 60 frames.
yeah,
They don't play any higher than that.
yeah,
So, if you're playing a first person shooter or a racing game other than some older Need for Speed games, you can go over 60, right? But we all know there's tons and tons of games that's stuck at 60 frames per second. And at 60 frames per second, you're stuck with whatever motion clarity you have, or whatever, just right. And
yeah,
so, for all of us that grew up at a time in which I grew up with CRTs in the 80s and 90s, and then I moved on to LCD for a moment, and then I went. We've never since plasma for 60 got back to that kind of motion clarity at 60 hertz.
yeah.
We
No,
haven't.
never. I mean, it's.
And so
I love flickering. I love the flickering technologies because 60 FPS with the CRT was
yeah,
great.
yeah, I had the C1, and I know what you're talking about, where if you run 120 frames into it and put on a 120 hertz BFI, that is amazing.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely amazing.
fantastic.
But if you run your C1 at 60 hertz with BFI,
No, it's not as
the
good.
the the flicker is pretty intense, and the
Yeah.
brightness reduction is quite significant, right?
Well, I have to
So,
say the brightness reduction is impressive for what it is because
oh, absolutely, totally agree.
it's even almost as bright as these QD OLEDs that I have doing BFI, which shows that the
Yeah, yeah,
technology the
yeah.
C1 is
And
using is
I'm not
more efficient.
impressed with the 95D's BFI, to be honest with you. Did you use
No, I
BFI
don't.
in your
No,
90C?
no. It's just because the problem is BFI is not a good technology for OLEDs because you see
No,
what the C1 does is showing you a section of the screen. So these OLEDs have ABL. If you have a small section of the screen, you're scrolling. It's a rolling scan of the frame. So you're going left to right, top to bottom, and then you're showing, let's say, 30% of the frame, or even 12%. That would be perfect. So it can be very bright because it is a small section of the screen. We have ABL. So the brighter that is, the better it can be, basically. So
yeah.
BFI is the worst a flickering technology you can use for OLEDs. It's just the
Well,
worst.
you need to use a rolling scan. Like Chino in the chat, he's absolutely right. I mean, that's the goal is we want to have CRT motion clarity on these flat panels. That's really all we want. Technically, according to Mark at Blurbusters, if you had a 960 hertz OLED and you did a rolling scan on that for 60 hertz content, we would have CRT motion
Yeah,
clarity
exactly.
in
Yeah.
that scenario.
So what you need
That
is,
that's our end goal. That's what we want.
well, let me tell you, I don't know if I'm missing a limitation, but with a rolling scan, that's if you. So he's talking about using, for example, the CRT simulation, because with the CRT simulation you are limited to the
Yes.
maximum refresh rate of the display. So basically,
Right.
what the CRT simulation does is it creates different versions of each frame. So let's say you have 240 hertz, you have 60 FPS. For each of those frames, you're going to create 4 versions of those frames, and that's going to do the CRT simulation thing. So 60 FPS is going to look like 240, and you're going to lose brightness. How much brightness are you going to lose? Well, you're reducing the persistence 4x, you're going to lose at least 4x brightness. That's how it works. That's based on the Talbot-Platau's law. So the CRT simulation, what's going to do is going to reduce the flickering, and you're going to have some settings to get it a little bit brighter, and it's also going to adjust the gamma, which is very important. These TVs that have the technology and they do not have a gamma correction, that makes it that people don't like it at all, because you turn it on, it looks all messed up. They have to figure that out.
Hmm.
That's very important. You calibrate the TV when you turn on the feature. So my point is,
Yeah. I mean,
right
they
now,
could do it for sure.
they can do it. They should definitely do it. So right now, we we don't need 960 hertz display right now. These companies could implement the rolling scan. And for example, the G5 can easily is bright
Oh
enough
yeah,
to
of course.
give us CRT like motion. So what I'm saying right now, I could be missing something, but if we get 12%, so the rolling scan, if it is 12% of the screen, so imagine you have the frame left to right, top to bottom, and we have 12% of the frame. We're going to do the rolling scan with that 12%. 60 FPS is going to look like a CRT. So you're reducing the persistence to 12%. That's going to look like a 12.5%, if I remember correctly, when I did the math, which is not that difficult to do. So you're going to also reduce the brightness to 12.5%. So what is 12.5%? So what is the maximum peak brightness of the G5 at 12.5% is the question. So let's say it is 1500 nits, for example. So if you reduce 1500 nits to 12.5%, you still have over 100 nits. So that's usable. So the G5 is bright enough to do that and give us CRT motion clarity right now. And it doesn't have to be able to be 960 hertz. I believe it's possible right now. They don't do it because, you know, they. So the thing is then how it might flicker. So 60 FPS might not be enough. Okay, double the FPS, 120. Now you can be more aggressive, and do the same. We can.
It's significantly less flicker than the
Well,
BFI options we have out there, and
yeah,
even a CRT at 60 hertz. If anybody used back in the day a CRT computer monitor, you can obviously go over 60 hertz. There is a flicker to CRT, but it's not like the BFIs we see now, right? I mean, those are like retina eye piercing knife to your eyes after 30 minutes. It's rough, especially on a white screen. Forget it. It's just really intense. So I'm just looking forward to them figuring out better motion clarity, because I think at this point right now, Ariel, I'm content and very happy with the uniformity QD OLED gives. I'm happy with the brightness and the color it gives and the clarity. But in order to get better motion clarity, the only option really you got is either one, you get a retro tink and send your 60 hertz stuff in there and do the CRT beam emulation on there. Or two, you do PC gaming and you play games that you can run 144 or 165 frames.
Yeah.
And
Let me
that's our
correct
options.
let me correct the math because I didn't remember this right. So the 12.5% number that I threw is for 120 FPS. So this is how I envision LG reaching CRT motion. I mean, much better than CRT because it would be so clean, like no crosstalk, no phosphorus decay, nothing. It would just be 100% crystal clear, um, better than CRT at 1 millisecond of persistence. So we need 120 FPS, okay? So here's the math. So you have 120 FPS. So what is the persistence? What is the frame visibility time of 120 FPS? That's easy. You have 1 second. For each second, you have 120 frames. And this, we multiply that by 1000 to get the results in milliseconds. So that's 8.3 milliseconds for 120 FPS. We need to reduce, this is the persistence, this is the frame visibility time. Motion clarity is limited by persistence based on the Blur-Buster's law. So what that means is that the motion clarity cannot be better than this persistence regardless of the display technology. Okay, so how much do we have to reduce this persistence to get to 1 millisecond? 8 times. Okay, so now let's say so think about, you divide the screen by 8 and you get that percentage. So what you need is 12.5% rolling scan, 12.5% duty cycle for the rolling scan. That's what we need. So if you reduce 8.3 milliseconds to 12.5%, this is what happens. So you have 8.3 milliseconds, that's 100%. So we're going to multiply this by 12.5%, divide by 100. So this is the rule of 3. And we get 1 millisecond of persistence. That's how the math works. So easily right now, the LG G5, 120 FPS, it does rolling scan with a 12.5% duty cycle, and we get 1 millisecond of persistence. And how bright would that be? Easily. We can calculate that using the Talbot-Plateau's law. So what is the peak brightness of the G5 in a 12.5% window? I don't know that, but let's say it is 1500 nits. I think I'm being conservative saying it's 1500 nits. I think it's brighter than that. But let's say it is 1500 nits.
It's
Well,
brighter than that,
it's
but
brighter
yeah.
than that. But let's say it's 1500 because we are ignoring the fact that when you do this rolling scan at that speed, you might not be able to get as bright. I don't know. So let's say it's 1500 nits. So what is 12.5% of 1500 nits? Okay, let's calculate that. So 1500 nits multiplied by 12.5 divided by 100. So 187 nits. So let's say it's 150 nits and it's CRT like at 120 FPS. It's just absolutely incredible. Why they don't do this? I'm not smarter than LG engineers. Okay, they know this. They know a lot better than me. They know all the things that I'm ignoring. They know the challenges, what it takes. They could easily do this, and it will be an easy selling point, which is amazing, absolutely incredible. I mean, I would buy the G5 instead of the S95F just because of the motion. And
I
LG
just want
knows
them
how
to
to.
call the mode. I want them to call the mode like CRT or something, like give homage to
Exactly.
where, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like it's so crazy to think that a technology that was made, what was that, like 70, 80 years ago, the speed of the light beam on a CRT going from left to right is like ridiculous. Like I heard it was like something like 2000 miles per hour, some crazy how fast the light, because
And
y'all
very
know light
bright too.
travels crazy fast. So the
It,
CRT is like honestly alien technology.
it is. It is. And the thing is, it was super bright. I think it was like over 30,000 nits. That the line that, the section of the screen left to
It's
right, it
crazy.
was
It's
like
crazy.
30,000 nits or
Yeah.
something like that. Beyond that or
It's
something like
incredible
that.
technology.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, super heavy. If you open it up and start tinkering around in there, you could get yourself potentially killed. So it was, it had its negatives, but my gosh, if you ever saw like a really great CRT, especially one of the Sony PVM or BVM monitors, they just look incredible.
Yeah. So let's leave it there, man. Let's do this again. We have a chance next week. We have to do more, Reno DX. See when the Carlos has a chance to do another one of those. So I'm trying to learn how to do the mods for the games. Literally
Nice.
changing the code of the games,
That's nuts.
which is nuts. I mean, but it's so exciting because the results are just off the chart. Like you see details never seen before. Not
That's
even
crazy.
with native HDR details that are there at the engine level that you don't see. And I show before and after with a random Unreal Engine game, and it was just mind blowing. Like
Wow.
the game by
What game
default
are you
just.
doing? What game were you trying it on?
So this was on Kina, Bridge of Spirits. This game
Okay.
is on Unreal Engine 4. So when you try this Reno DX mod on and off, look
Yeah.
at any highlight detail. You don't have to any highlight detail before and after is
Yeah.
you're losing so much information. It's
Yeah.
not you don't have to look close. It's like obvious. It's just unbelievable. And the reason why you can get that result is because these mods are changing the code, the code of the game to show you all of that with the perfect, you know, PQ accuracy, everything. The standard is just absolutely incredible what you can get with these mods. So I'm excited
Wow.
about that, learning how to
Yeah.
do that. But it takes a lot of learning. So I'll
Oh
get
yeah.
into it.
It's coding.
Yeah. So yeah, but let's do it. I mean, when you have a chance, let's do it next week. I mean, you know a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. Let me know.
And
Happy
also,
to hop on.
if you want, I mean, I'm not sure if you want to show your face for your YouTube channel, but let me tell you, it helps a lot. When I started my YouTube channel, the difference between a video that show my face and don't is huge. So people want to see you. People want to see a person. If you want to do YouTube, I strongly recommend you to get into it because you have a lot of things to share. I mean, I want to see that video with the Kuro. I want to see the videos with the things you did. I want to see how
Yeah.
you peel off this monitor. You have a lot to share. I think you could be one of the best YouTubers on the space. And if you want to do it, I mean, I would say go for it. I would support you. So yeah, if you wanna come to a stream again, let's do
Yeah,
it.
definitely. I'd love to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's leave it there, man. Thank you very much for all
Okay.
of you that show up here. I'll try to read your comments. If I miss your question, pop that in the comment section of the stream, and I will reply and also Luke can check it out and reply if you have those. Okay. So let's leave it there, man. Thank you very much, Luke,
Definitely.
for what you've done. You have the entire world right now peeling peeling the TVs and arguing on the forums and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.